What happens to an old aircraft? Airplanes, just like cars and motorcycles, deteriorate over time. Unlike cars, however, a faulty airplane can't exactly break down on the road. So how exactly do you handle and fix an old aircraft? We'll find out in today's video. What makes a plane too old? The number of pressurization cycles that occur in an aircraft during each flight can affect the plane's entire body or wings, causing it to age. A plane that has sustained excessive damage from pressurization will likely need to be replaced. Nevertheless, after a certain period of time, it becomes more cost-effective to retire the plane and replace all of its components. Waiting until the end of a plane's life cycle to retire is not practical. In general, the guaranteed lifespan of a plane is around 25 years. However, they retire around the age of 18 to avoid losses. If a plane can be sold as a whole or for parts at 18, the revenue generated from selling it will be higher than the amount of money it could make from flights. When a plane reaches its final phase of life, it takes a place in the parking lot, the boneyard, or the graveyard. There, planes are either disassembled for their parts or left to rust away. Pressurization cycles. Airplanes have a limited lifespan, which is measured in pressurization cycles. Every time an airplane takes off, it must pressurize its cabin to provide a comfortable environment for passengers and crew in areas of high altitudes. However, this pressurization puts significant stress on the aircraft's structure, leading to dangerous metal fatigue over time. In 1988, a flight attendant named Clarabelle Lansing lost her life when an aging Aloha Airlines Boeing 737 suffered explosive mid-air decompression due to metal fatigue. Boeing 747s are rated for 35,000 pressurization cycles, which is equivalent to 150,000 flight hours. Interestingly, short-haul planes age faster than long-haul planes because they have to pressurize and depressurize more frequently during the day. This event gradually accelerates the plane's wear and tear. To avoid metal fatigue problems, an assessment to identify the plane's age is done. This process requires a team of engineers and airplane manufacturers. For major airlines, they assess the value of their planes halfway through its lifespan to determine if it should retire completely or be used for its parts. Airlines often trade their older planes for newer, more fuel-efficient models, which make better economic sense for the company. When airplanes reach the end of their useful life, they can be sold to countries with less stringent regulations or repurposed for other uses. For example, the Boeing 747s may be converted into freight carriers, while the smaller planes like the Fokker 100 can be used for specialized jobs like supplying remote mining outposts. The 4 categories. Generally, there are 4 main categories of aircraft that can be found in the boneyard. The first category is the long-term Type 1000. This type consists of aircraft that are stored with the intention of being used again in the future. These planes may have been retired or temporarily grounded, but they're still in good condition and are expected to be operational once again. The second category is Parts Reclamation Type 2000. It is composed of aircraft that are dismantled and has parts sold to those who need them. This type of aircraft is primarily used for recycling purposes. The processes involved in dismantling are carefully executed to ensure that the parts are preserved in excellent condition. The third category is known as Flying Hold Type 3000. This type comprises of aircraft that require a long-term parking space. Although they may not be operational at the moment, they are expected to eventually join their brethren in the sky. These kinds of planes are typically in good condition and are kept in secure environments to ensure their preservation. The fourth category is called Excessive DoD Needs Type 4000. This type refers to aircraft that are sold as is with no intent of restoring them for future use. Sometimes these planes are sold for spare parts, and these parts are usually sold to nations, agencies, or allied governments that have close ties with the United States. Regardless of their final destination, the boneyard ensures that every aircraft is properly handled and processed according to its category. Lavish sky palaces. Some wealthy individuals like Abramovich own lavishly customized planes, like his Boeing 767 Bandit. However, this may not be recommended because the fate of most planes is to be eventually dismantled and used for parts. Cherished museum pieces. Certain fortunate airplanes become cherished museum artifacts, such as the few remaining Concords. Alternatively, they can be transformed into extravagant airborne mansions, just like how the hip-hop artist Drake did, or the famous dubious oligarch Rahman. Broken down for parts. The airline parts trade is a lucrative market with staggering volumes and prices. In 2022, the global market for second-hand plane components is projected to be worth $6 billion. And this industry has given rise to dedicated investment outfits and specialized hedge funds. Unfortunately, this market is plagued by counterfeiters who supply the market with cheap knockoff components. Approximately 2% of all spare airliner parts on the market are believed to be counterfeit, imposing serious safety implications. To address the issue of counterfeit components, a Paris startup called Safe Flights has been using blockchain certification to combat the problem. The value of the spares market lies in the fact that a modern aircraft comprises of approximately 350,000 parts, with the engines alone accounting for more than 75% of the total value. Airlines prefer to replace failing components like engine fan blades rather than attempt a risky repair. Thus, the defunct planes become sources of valuable components for airworthy planes. Meanwhile, retired airplanes can fetch huge amounts of money on the second-hand market. For example, winglets from a retired 737 can fetch up to $650,000. With around 11,000 airline retirements expected to take place in the coming decade, it is clear why broken-down airplanes are big business. The Boneyard. The Boneyard, situated in Tucson, Arizona, is an ideal location to store planes because of its dry desert climate. The area has minimal humidity and rainfall, which helps prevent the aircraft exterior from corroding due to rain. Under the Air Force Materiel Command, the AMARG is the world's largest parking facility. It has a massive capacity of accommodating up to 4,000 planes. Aircraft recycling is a significant industry that generates billions of dollars each year. While there are around 25,000 planes transporting passengers annually, approximately 400 to 450 planes are scrapped every year, and the market for spare aircraft parts is estimated to be worth around $2 billion. The Aircraft Fleet Recycling Association, or AFRA, is the largest nonprofit organization that specializes in disassembling planes, taking about $700 million of the profits, or one-third of the planes. To scrap an aircraft, the process is quite simple. The planes land on a large runway and are parked where instructed. Regardless of size or reusability, every aircraft that arrives at the boneyard goes through the same procedure. First, they are washed to remove corroding salts and then spray painted with a protective layer of paint. Then, their fuel must be drained, lubrication must be applied, and anything explosive shall be removed, and air ducts must be sealed. If a plane will be taking flight again, windows should be covered with cloth to protect the insides from harmful sunlight. The plane must undergo special care every week as well to avoid risks. Desert winds can be powerful, so the crew must tie down all aircraft. A special crew is tasked with removing spare parts from the planes, from small parts to huge engines and turbines. Every part is carefully brought into the hangar, washed, cleaned, inspected, and packed in boxes before shipping. Anyone can purchase spare parts by contacting the boneyard, with just one seat on a plane costing approximately $450 to $5,000. Planes can remain at the boneyard for as little as a couple of weeks or as long as over 50 years. Some planes can even become operational after 3 years of staying at the boneyard, while others are parked there only temporarily. The largest number of planes scrapped for parts in a single year was in 2013, with 700 planes being gutted and sold on the market. Experts predict that with an increase in the global commercial aircraft fleet, the number of planes scrapped annually will jump to 700 to 750 planes per year. In summary, the aircraft recycling industry generates billions of dollars each year. The process for scrapping an aircraft involves washing and painting, draining fuel, removing explosives, sealing air ducts, and tying down the aircraft to prevent movement caused by strong desert winds. Spare parts are carefully removed, cleaned, inspected, and shipped for purchase. Unfortunately, there are planes that remain at the boneyard for varying lengths of time, and there are also planes that have been given permission to operate again after staying for 3 years. With an increase in the global commercial aircraft fleet, the number of planes scrapped annually is expected to rise significantly. The idea of recycling old airplanes is not limited to scrapping them for parts. Some companies have come up with innovative ways to repurpose them. For instance, an architecture studio in New York proposed buying 200 cheap Boeing fuselages to create a library in Mexico. There are also hotels, hostels, and restaurants that have been created from old planes. In Sweden, a 747 was transformed into a hotel with 25 rooms, including a honeymoon suite in the cockpit and a budget hostel in the economy cabin. In Rustavi, Georgia, a kindergarten was repurposed from a retired Yakovlev 42 aircraft. In Zurich, a Soviet-era Ilyushin 1114 has been turned into an upscale restaurant, while in Tapau, New Zealand, a decommissioned Douglas DC-3 served as a McDonald's outlet. Companies are also upcycling internal plane components, like the drink trolleys, into snazzy closets, or remaking bigger and larger aircraft components like engine housings or segments of the fuselage into upscale office furniture. One of the most unusual second lives for a recycled plane is the former Malaysia Airlines 747 that has sunk off the coast of Bahrain and turned into an artificial reef and scuba diving destination. While imaginative reuse is encouraged, it must be done sensitively to ensure that it is sustainable and does not harm the environment. That's all for today's video. Would you own and fly an older plane? Comment your answers down below. And while you're there, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell notification for the newest videos on all the latest and coolest tech.